Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a review and wear test of the new Clinique Continuous Coverage Makeup. This is the Broad Spectrum SPF 15 foundation. I have it in the shade 07 Ivory Glow. I'm going to show you what it looks like applied, but first I'll just tell you a little bit about it. I purchased mine off Sephora. It was out of stock for a long time. I got on the list to notify me when it's in stock. They notified me and I purchased it right away. I first heard about it from Taylor. I think that's how you say her, but her name is Taylor on YouTube. She has very, very fair skin, and she warned that there's only 2 shades in this foundation. If you are very fair, you will not be able to find a color match probably, and I think she's right. I'm in the lightest shade, Ivory Glow, and so if you have lighter skin than I do, you might not be able to find a shade. Also, Ivory Glow is supposed to be ivory, a little bit yellowish. I find it was still pretty cool toned compared to the rest of my body, and I don't really have a tan right now. It's February, so that's something to note. If you are very, very yellow undertoned, you probably won't be able to find a color match. If you're very fair, you will not be able to find a color match. Basically, this foundation will only work for you if you're light to medium, either pinky or somewhat neutral with a little bit of yellow undertones. Those are the only 2 shades. So there's Ivory Glow, and the other color is called Creamy Glow. It is a glowy foundation. It says on the website it is natural finish. So you can purchase this 1 ounce foundation for $25 on Sephora.com. It does come in a squeezy tube. Very good packaging as far as getting product out, using it till the end. Not as good for me as a pump, but definitely preferable to the ones that you have to pour out onto your hand. I never like those. So I give it an A+ for that. The Clinique packaging does say it's allergy tested and 100% fragrance free. Good to know. It says this creamy full coverage makeup lasts until you take it off. Use under your regular foundation to conceal shadows, flaws, fine lines, or make it your full face makeup. It's a superb shield against the elements and excellent UVA, UVB sun protection. So this is an SPF 15. That's great if you are looking for something you can wear every single day. I have not tested it using it as a concealer. I used it today as a full all-over foundation, but I am curious to see how this does for foundation, for concealing just some spots here and there or under my eyes to see if it creases. I did notice, and I didn't know until after I got the box, but when I ordered it online, I'm like, okay, cool. But then when I got the box, I see it says very dry to dry combination at the top. So I'm like, very dry to dry combination. Interesting. I didn't notice that because it's glowy. It is called Ivory Glow, and I knew the finish was going to be somewhat dewy. But the website actually does, the Sephora site does say it works well with dry to dry combination skin and oily combination or oily skin types for special occasions. So I don't know if they mean that it won't last as long as an everyday foundation for oily skin when they say for special occasions, oh, is that for a 4-hour event and not a 12-hour day? I don't know. But it says, get lasting camouflage for every skin type. This opaque makeup covers flaws, birthmarks, and scars and can be used as a concealer or as full face makeup. It provides a physical sunscreen with titanium dioxide and delivers a natural matte finish. Natural matte, I don't know about that. I have no powders on at all, nothing shimmery on my cheeks, no glowy highlight or anything like that. And I'm definitely glowing. So natural matte, maybe. And it is definitely opaque. It's definitely creamy and thick. So let's go ahead and apply it. I'm going to cut to the demo real quick, and then I will show you what it looks like. All right, I just have my hair clipped back temporarily, so don't judge that. So far I've used the Clinique Moisture Surge Extended Thirst Relief moisturizer, and then I used the Clinique Pep Start Eye Cream. I do like these 2 a lot, so I know how they wear under other foundations. I applied those maybe 10-15 minutes ago. Now I'm going to be using the Too Faced Hangover RX Replenishing Face Primer, and I'll be using that mostly on the T-zone. That's where I find I need the primer the most, but alright, now I'm going to start in with the Clinique Continuous Coverage Makeup Broad Spectrum SPF 15 in the shade 07 Ivory Glow. It is a pretty thick foundation. I just did a little bit on my hand right there, and I'm going to see how far this goes. Using the Sigma F80 Flat Kabuki. This is my favorite foundation brush. Do have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to start with this area here. buffing it in little circles, taking it down the chin. A little bit does actually go a long way. This is the same amount that I applied just to my chin, and it did that whole half of my face. I'm just going to grab a little bit more with the brush to finish up the forehead. I'm impressed with the coverage, I can tell you that much. Alright, that initial amount that I put on my hand is now gone. I'm just going to take a little bit more to finish up like this part right here, and then I'll be done. Okay, that is one coat. And honestly, it covered up all of my discoloration. Obviously, I didn't do around my eyes, but wow. You can see the finish. I have a little bit more on my hands. I just picked it up with the brush, and I'm just going to make sure that I've covered. So the finish to me is kind of glowy. The shade is called Ivory Glow. So I can tell it's definitely dewy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of my face. No shimmery products at all whatsoever, and I'll be right back. Alright, I just finished applying the rest of my makeup. As I said, I used all matte products, and the only place I set was my under eye concealer with powder. The rest of it has no powder on it. I didn't use a setting. I did not use a setting spray or anything like that. My blush is matte. It is Tarte's Blissful Amazonian Clay Blush. I used Benefit's Hula Bronzer, which is matte, and I did not apply a highlight. So this is the natural glow from the foundation. I'm going to go ahead and check back in a little bit. It is now about 9 o'clock, so 9 in the morning, so I'll check back in a little bit. Alright, so it's been about 3 hours. It's now lunchtime, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a close-up of my face. Overall, the summary I would say is it's glowy. It's definitely dewy, but I don't have particularly oily skin. I'd say my skin is more combination right now. I might get a little oily here and around my nose, but then my skin around my chin is very dry with my acne and the acne products I use. So let me go ahead and give you a close-up. It's definitely glowy, you can tell. I've done no touch-ups, but you still cannot see my acne color-wise through. You can still see the texture. Okay, so I will be back in a few hours, but overall I would say at the 3-hour mark it still looks pretty darn good. Alright guys, it's been about 7 or 8 hours. I think my face is pretty glowing. It's a little bit oily looking at this point, but I don't mind it. I think it's better to look a little bit oily, than chalky and dry. You know what I mean? I can definitely tell I have foundation on. I'm going to zoom you in, so I want you to look at my nose area. It's kind of looking flaky, I guess, and around my acne. As you'll notice from afar, you can't see my acne. Like, the coverage is there. The spots are covered. The dark has been concealed, and that's good. And most of my face, I think, looks pretty good as far as, like, coverage goes, but the finish around my nose and my chin, I'm not a huge fan of. So let me zoom you in so you can see. So you can tell I'm wearing makeup. You can tell I'm a little shiny. Alright, so that was it after 7 or 8 hours. I'll be back one more time before bed before I wash my face for the day and give you my final thoughts on the foundation. And alright guys, it's been about 12 hours, so it's time for bed. I'm going to be washing this off soon. Wanted to show you what my face is looking like after 12 hours. Definitely dewy in the forehead, that is for sure. You can see things through the foundation. I'm going to zoom you in a second, but I want you to notice the kind of speckling, how the foundation is breaking down around my nose, and then how you can see my spots around my chin poking through. I have not done any touch-ups, no powdering, no blotting, nothing like that. It's around here. you can see things now. My nose. You can see my age spots and stuff starting to show through. And the oil. Alright, so final thoughts on this foundation. It held up really well. I think around the 10-hour mark is when I would say I really like to touch up around here just a little bit and maybe some powder on my forehead. That's where I would have felt comfortable. So if you are oily, more oily than combination, I don't think you're going to like this foundation unless you want to blot and powder all day. I do think if you're super dry, you will like it. You might want to apply it with a damp beauty blender if you're not used to extreme heavy coverage. It's definitely heavy coverage. Definitely going to cover everything, and that's saying a lot because I have a lot to cover, and if it covered it for me for a good 8 to 10 hours, I think you're going to like it if you want full coverage. If you want medium coverage, it might be a little much for you, but like I said, using a damp beauty blender with it might help instead of a brush, which is what I did. So if I was to wear this again, which of course I will, I would say I'd probably try applying it with a beauty blender if I want sheer coverage, and I would touch up around the 8-hour mark and just like kind of give it a once over, and then I'll be good. I probably could get a full 16 hours out of it if I had just done one touch up, you know. I think that the price point, $25, is really good for this foundation. It is 1 ounce, just like a lot of the other foundations that they have at Sephora. The packaging is great. I like that it's a squeezy tube. I prefer perhaps a pump, but the squeezy tube is definitely second best. Clearly better than the pour off kind of bottles. I think that the shade selection is worst. The worst I've ever seen. 2 shades. If you do not have light to like medium skin and really, really cool toned or neutral-ish with maybe slightly yellow undertones, you're not going to be able to find a shade in this foundation. If you are super fair, more fair than I am, you won't find a shade. If you are super deep, darker than medium or tan, you're not going to find a shade. Just something to keep in mind for those of us who can find a shade match in the brand. Wonderful. It's a great product. I highly recommend it. But if you can't find a shade, I mean, I guess you're out of luck. So that's kind of disappointing, but I don't know if they meant for it to be a foundation or just the concealer. As they mentioned, you can either do it all over or just as a spot concealer. So that might be why they don't have that many shades. Concealers tend to have fewer shades. You know, they might have light, medium, deep, and like a couple other shades scattered throughout. They might have 6 shades, 12 shades, whereas in a foundation often they'll have 20 or 30 shades to choose from in good high-end brands. So Clinique is a pretty good brand. I like that the products are allergy tested and fragrance free and things like that. I love that it has SPF. It will flash back in photos because of the SPF in it. So I didn't even bother flash photography testing it because I knew it was going to flash back in photos. So it's not something you'd want to wear on an important day like your wedding because you would have white face, tan body. Nobody likes that. But overall, I would recommend this if you have dry skin, even normal skin, perhaps a little bit of combo if you don't mind powdering. Remember, I did not apply any powder when I applied it this morning. So maybe if I had just powdered my forehead, I might have gotten another 2 hours of wear. And I would have powdered it normally if I hadn't been filming this video to test it on its own. So that is it for my review. I hope you guys found this helpful. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Press the little bell next to the subscribe button to be notified when I put out a new video. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.